What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 11th Island. I'm Brad. That's Chris over there. We got a special episode for you, not just because we're in person, that's rare enough, but we're talking about the Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier trilogy. One of the biggest fights in UFC history, and at least for 2021, the biggest fight yet this year. So, Chris, what are our thoughts on this and how we got here?
We got two things going into the reason why everybody's talking about this fight. One, you got stories within stories. You have McGregor and Poirier. They got their own thing together. This is a trilogy fight after all. They have history together. Conor McGregor, he's the most dynamic, interesting entertainer in the sport. He's the biggest pay-per-view seller. There's a storyline there, and it's kind of at a crossroads where you really don't know what's going to happen next. It could all fall apart. It could all come back together. We don't really know. And I was just thinking of, there's no title on the line for this. You call it historic, right? And you think about the eyes that are on McGregor. Put it in perspective. He loses to Khabib, goes away for a while, comes back and fights Cowboy Cerrone, who's a big name. Who the names on the poster look great, but where do we go from that fight? It was sold as McGregor, this is not going to lead to a title. He's not going to go back to, he's not going to win this and then go and fight Khabib again. Who knows what, at that time, Khabib was still holding the title, and when did Conor deserve a title fight or a rematch with Khabib? Who knew, right? And so you go through, and there's so many guys on the line, and it was just the idea that McGregor's going to be back and he's going to win a title. I don't know how long it is. It was a long path that was presented to us, and it's still sold huge. The excitement for Conor McGregor. So then you add the fact that now we're at that almost same story, just a little bit down the line, and now we're at the point where a win here gets you going for that belt. It's so exciting. So you have just the fun circusy bits, but then you also have the meat and potatoes. Okay, we're going to see some traction. Conor McGregor possibly get some traction here, or Poirier just put him to sleep and then take that spot himself. So, Brad, the one question is, can he check the leg kick?
Yeah, I think when you're talking about the actual fight, it comes into it, does Conor McGregor, and it's not a reinvention of it's going back to his old, the kind of more karate style. Because if you watch, for the people watching, if you go take a look at the Eddie Alvarez fight and then look at the Poirier fight, the second one that is, it's a completely different fighter out there. You're looking at Conor McGregor that's flat-footed, clearly in a boxing stance. And when in hindsight, when you're looking at that fight, and you talk about that, he was saying, I'm taking a lefty, mate, and you're going, because Pacquiao's coming up next? And he was looking so far ahead to boxing, and you see it in his style. The karate stance McGregor has a lot better chance to check the leg kicks, which, in all reality, Conor McGregor has been very inactive.
Yeah.
Khabib's not aggressive with the leg kicks. The Cowboy fight didn't last long enough for there even to be a leg kick. So you're looking at essentially 5 years of advancement in a sport that is in the infancy stage. So it's advancing at an exponential rate compared to any other sport.
Yeah.
So when he comes back, he's almost not prepared for that. But again, he has one of the best camps and coaches in the world when John Kavanagh and SBG Ireland. The second that fight ended, Kavanagh would have been creating a game plan, and they have the ability and finances to bring in anybody and everybody in the world that will be able to help replicate what Poirier brought and help him bring it. My question would be was there enough time to get it to an elite level? Because and that's McGregor's already an elite level fighter, and but those boxing habits were really dug in deep. You take the healing part of the fight in January, and then you take the full training camp. It's been about 6 months. Is that enough time to get to this level? And then on Poirier's side, Poirier's had the same amount of time to understand what McGregor's going to bring to him, realize what else he needs to do differently to come and shock him in new ways. So McGregor's in tough here, but I think he shows up a better version of himself and a more kind of the McGregor of old, kind of a vintage McGregor, if you would say.
Yeah. Now, here the thing is, it feels like we're talking about a game of rock paper scissors here, right? It's like, who's gonna I play this and you play that, and this beats that and this beats that, and you can only choose. Once you lock into something, you're locked into something. Poirier has said, and this is, don't take this at face value, because
Mm-hmm.
I think Poirier is smarter than, if this is at face value, he's smart enough to not say this, or maybe he's not, or maybe he is. He's smarter than me, and this is a it's a mind game right now where he's saying, "Oh, I'm not like everyone's talking about the legs. I'm not going to use my legs," or something along the. I heard that, right? I'm not crazy.
No,
so he's talking about not using his legs, and it's just like, I think he's in control. He's in the driver's seat right now for how I want Conor to run his camp. So Poirier has spoken first, has done physical damage that needed time to heal beyond just some bruises, and he really, like, McGregor was walking out. I mean, a guy with the pride of McGregor and the bravado of McGregor having to walk out with crutches.
Yeah.
That is like, that stays in Conor's mind. And then you have everybody saying, "Oh, Conor's got to check the leg kicks, got to watch the leg kicks, he's got to watch the leg kicks." Now Poirier says, "I know exactly what's going on in his camp right now."
Yeah.
And that is, and for all we know, that's maybe Poirier's going to have the leg kicks again and just say, "I don't think you did enough, and I'm going to tell you no." Or he's going to say, he's going to kind of wink at the fact, "Oh, I'm not going to use any leg kicks," when it's kind of like he's telling you the truth. He just, I'm just,
Well, here's the thing too: is Conor McGregor also tweeted towards Dustin Poirier, and I don't know the exact tweet. So and if you know it, you could correct me. But it was something about the first one to shoot a takedown is, and then some derogatory term. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So Conor McGregor, and this was a while ago, so weeks out from the fight, is already showing he's terrified of the takedown.
But another play, I was thinking about this too, because I was reminded when McGregor, people were talking about McGregor having a weakness exposed, and then having to work on it in another camp, and it goes all the way back, or not even, it's not that far back, but go back to the Khabib fight, where, I mean, obviously you're going up against Khabib and you're Conor McGregor, you're a southpaw striker going up against Khabib. Of course, your wrestling is not going to be up to par, and then going, like, he spent some time out of the octagon after that, and he came back with Cowboy, and the biggest talking point, one of the biggest talking points that I just came back to me, I was like, why was this even a conversation? Where McGregor was just touting how much he's been practicing wrestling and training wrestling, and we haven't seen that wrestling yet.
No.
So is that, I mean, like, that part of it was part of, I mean, everyone was just all the negative talk, and he needed to feel like he had learned from, because I think part of it was like a soft rebranding of Conor, where it's like, I'm not drinking before fights, I realize I need to train wrestling, I've learned, I've seen the light, that was just, that's the past, that's over. And I mean, some of those habits reared its ugly head with the Poirier 2 fight, but still, I mean, he's talked about training wrestling so much, and we haven't seen the wrestling yet. And then he comes out and says, "Last one to shoot a takedown." Are we seeing McGregor hint at something here? At some strategy here? Are we gonna see a takedown in McGregor Poirier 3?
I think. I mean, if there's a takedown shot, it's gonna be the same type of takedown that McGregor shot in the Diaz 1 fight, where he was absolutely gassed out and threw a Hail Mary takedown that, as we remember, did not work out very well. There's no way that McGregor's shooting takedowns. I could see Poirier shooting a takedown. I could see McGregor coming aggressive with the leg kicks to be like, "Oh, like, you wrecked my calf here, I'm gonna wreck yours, beat you at your own game," and Poirier catching one of those and putting him on the ground.
Yeah,
I could see that happening, which might be going through McGregor's head.
See, but like, the biggest point is there's a lot of mind games going on right now on this,
and that is we're in peak McGregor.
Yeah,
when it's like, oh, we're talking about, we're what, 10, however long into this video, we've barely talked. It's all mind games. That's a McGregor fight, and that's what McGregor brings, and that's why the Poirier 1 fight, that's the reason why Poirier lost, because before he stepped into the octagon, he was so in his own head about it that McGregor was able to just clean his clock. The second fight, I mean, they were a lot more cordial. That probably helps with the mind games, and Dustin Poirier is a different man. This time, the mind games aren't going to play. It's a lot easier for a guy not to intimidate you. When the last time you saw him in person, you knocked him out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why you see McGregor.
No, but I'm saying
is
Poirier playing into that now, where it's because everything I've seen out of Poirier's camp just regarding strategy, the leg kicks, all of that stuff coming out is really just he usually most of those questions. I mean, he hasn't done a ton of, but what I've seen is it's okay. He makes a statement about, okay, so this is what happened in the last fight. I know this is what he's going to be training for. This is what I'm going to do. You know, there's a 3-part where it's like, okay, this is what happened. We all know that. And then but there's no change in when he says this is what McGregor's doing right now. Yeah. The confidence in saying that, in saying it as a statement, doesn't change. You know, there's some serious mind games going on.
And now, with the mind games, because they're confusing us too, let's be completely honest, but you came to this video for a prediction.
Yeah.
Who do you think actually wins this fight?
I think I got to go with all that said, I got to go McGregor. Because I think McGregor, first of all, I think Poirier in a lot of ways woke a sleeping giant. One, in just embarrassingly beating him in such a visual way. Yeah. Where and it's not just that, but he beat him emotionally. Like Conor just he was looking for the door at the halfway through that fight, or halfway through getting between the start and end, not the full, but he wanted out. And I think when you embarrass a guy like McGregor, like you're not gonna put him to bed that way. You know, you're not gonna get him out. He's gonna come back, and I think the second thing is you have a guy healing from that, physically healing from that, as you're kind of emotionally working through that. Yeah. And Poirier started poking him, and whether he was right to say, okay, you didn't donate to charity or not, you poked at him at a very vulnerable time for Conor McGregor, and it's weird saying referring to someone like McGregor as vulnerable, but he's human like anybody else, and there's no tougher loss than MMA. Yeah. So you take I don't care who you are. So you take all that. So now you have a recipe where this is the first time a fight has really mattered to Conor McGregor in a long time. Where
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I get what you're saying.
But how far back do you go then?
What do you mean matter?
Yeah.
What do you mean by matter?
Like really, like this is important.
I mean, if he beats Poirier in the last fight, he gets a title shot.
But I mean, he was thinking about boxing at the same time. Does that fight matter when you're training for trying to kill two birds with one stone?
And I get what
you know what I'm saying.
And also, I think the matter as in this is the first time in a while that he's fighting somebody who has got one up on him. I think you have to go back to the Khabib fight.
It's one up on him, and also has just been, because think about it. I mean, the Cowboy fight. I mean, they were talking schmack with each other, but that it was
more playful.
It was playful. It was two like guys that had known each other for a long time, had been in the sport for a long time, knew the business more than most, and were putting on a show. And there was nothing personal about that.
No,
and it was fun. It was entertaining. It was good. It was exactly what it needed to be. But it doesn't really get you punched in the bag thinking of Cowboy Cerrone.
No,
the Poirier 2 fight, as you said, they were cordial with each other.
Yeah.
And then which is like it was like everything had been muted for like in terms of their personalities being a dynamic to the fight. Now all of a sudden there's so much of a story, and McGregor's a guy that operates off the story. So I think he's really thinking, and I think he's been forced to round out his game, know his weaknesses. I think there's a physical pain. It's not just, wow, I lost this game, because it's not like any other sport where it's like, wow, I lost this game because I didn't practice this, and then like, man, that loss sucked. but it's like, wow, I physically, like, my body is damaged. I had a cane because I didn't defend myself this way. I think that motivates you in the gym. I think Conor's going to come out on top.
I agree with everything you're saying about Conor McGregor. I agree. But Dustin Poirier is going to win this fight. Because I've said it again. I've said it before, sorry. I'll say it again. Dustin Poirier is the best lightweight in the division, bar Khabib. Khabib's gone. Poirier's going to beat McGregor again. He's going to beat a far better McGregor. But McGregor's not going to put him out in the first round. Once it gets past that, Poirier will dominate. Poirier's going to take this fight and then go beat Charles Oliveira. But I think McGregor comes into this far better than the last fight. I think he comes in the karate stance, and I'm going to be nervous in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I think Poirier will settle down, and he'll still win this fight. Because I think Poirier is far overlooked, and I think he is the best lightweight in the division. And I think he's going to show that on Saturday night, and then I think he's going to go on a good run at lightweight. I think he's going to get the title. I think he defends it once or twice. Like I think, I truly think Poirier's primed and ready to go on to become a superstar and go on a run as champion.
Yeah, and while I disagree with
one
that,
one left hand can change.
Yeah, while I disagree with that take, I mean, you listed all the reasons Poirier could win, and I've listed all the reasons Conor could win. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, what'd you expect from this? All right. I mean. Yeah. But what's intriguing, and we probably have to go soon, but what's intriguing is you say Poirier is the best lightweight in the division, and I think you have a case for that, and I think that remains to be seen. But the fascinating thing about that is I don't think we're in a position where there's a best. I think it's a game of rock, paper, scissors. I think there's so many guys, it really evens out, I think, where there's so many interesting matchups, and this guy could beat this guy, and this guy can beat that guy, which is so refreshing. I think the part of the excitement beyond this fight is that you got divisions. First of all, it's been a division that's been locked up by Khabib. I mean, he's the best. He could beat everybody. He ran through. You got Usman, who's pretty close to running up the whole division. You got Adesanya, who's just doing victory laps at this point. You know, and then you have like those three like central divisions are so locked up, and now all of a sudden the lightweight division just opens up, and now it's like, okay, so like I seriously think that Chandler and Poirier would be an interesting fight to see. You know, I think that so. And then Poirier, I think Poirier could beat Oliveira, and maybe Chandler could beat Poirier. You know, and then you throw Conor McGregor in the mix. Dan Hooker's still a dark horse. I think there was a lot going into his loss against Michael Chandler. I'm just it's just excitement to see, like, and you really, like, you can't know. It's very different than a lot of these title fights where it's been, there's been a lot of dogs that have won, but in terms of going into the fight, where everybody's money's going, where everybody's mouth is going, where everything, it's been pretty laid out for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an exciting time for the lightweight division. I think if you're watching, let us know in the comments who you're siding with. You're siding with Chris, you're siding with me on the picks for the fight. And I think let us know what fights can be made off this and what excites you the most about the lightweight division coming up. Remember, like and subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube, listen to the podcast platforms. Make sure to keep up with our content and check out some of our other stuff.